Welcome to the Tennessee Department of Transportation's virtual open house for the creation of the statewide active transportation plan. The plan will be an important guide to all of TDOT staff on how we identify, plan, fund, and design infrastructure that allows people to safely walk, bicycle, use a wheelchair, or ride a scooter on Tennessee state roads. This open house is one of two opportunities planned for the public to provide important input as the plan is developed. The second opportunity will take place in the fall. We appreciate your participation in this event. TDOT is making it safer to walk, bicycle, ride a wheelchair, or take a scooter along state routes. While we have made active transportation safer in recent years, we know that there's a lot more work to do. With Tennesseans like you, the Tennessee Department of Transportation will improve how we build and maintain infrastructure for you to walk, bicycle, ride a scooter, use a wheelchair, and more. We invite you to tell us more about your experiences traveling on state roads and help make a great plan for everyone. The most important thing we need to hear from you today are your ideas about walking, bicycling, and rolling in Tennessee. After this presentation, please complete an important survey and add comments to a map of your community. So what exactly is active transportation? Active transportation not only includes people walking and bicycling, it also involves people using a variety of human-powered, self-propelled, and low-speed electric devices. These devices include wheelchairs, scooters, personal mobility scooters, and other types of rolling devices. Active transportation users are the most vulnerable roadway users because they're at greatest risk of an injury when involved in a crash with a car or a truck. In addition, roads are typically designed for vehicles, leaving pedestrians and bicyclists to a lower level of protection. Transit is an important component of Tennessee's overall transportation system and provides critical transportation service for residents. Most people walk or bike to transit stops. Therefore, planning for active transportation infrastructure also includes a thorough understanding of where transit exists. There are a variety of ways to make walking safe and convenient in urban, suburban, and rural areas. These images provide examples of such infrastructure, including sidewalks, crosswalks, and even a pedestrian bridge. Sidewalks and shared-use paths separate pedestrians from vehicles and, ideally, they have a large amount of space between them. A raised concrete curb or vegetated buffer can provide a physical barrier between people and vehicles, which makes it safer for people to walk. Providing well-designed, contextually appropriate walkways increases the safety, comfort, and convenience of pedestrian travel for users of all ages and ability levels. Crosswalks, pedestrian signals, median islands, lighting, and pedestrian bridges or tunnels also improve safety for pedestrians. There's also a wide range of bicycle facilities that exist across the state. In rural places where traffic and bicyclist volumes are relatively low, a wide paved shoulder can provide a bicyclist with enough dedicated space to travel next to traffic. In urban and suburban places, or even small towns, it's preferable for bicyclists to be as far away from the vehicles as possible, for example, with separated bike lanes or greenways. Now that we've established what active transportation is, as well as the types of facilities and supporting elements that are generally associated with these modes, let's talk about the relationship between TDOT and active transportation, specifically the department's roles and responsibilities in constructing and maintaining active transportation facilities. TDOT's mission statement is to provide a safe and reliable transportation system that supports economic growth and quality of life. As a multimodal transportation agency, TDOT has responsibilities in aviation, waterways, railroads, public transit, and roadways. Regarding roadways in Tennessee, TDOT specifically manages the interstate and state route systems, while municipalities, counties, and other state agencies are responsible for all other roadways. TDOT divides the state into 4 regions for administrative purposes. While TDOT's headquarters are in Nashville, each region has an office of dedicated staff, ranging from design engineers, maintenance workers, and planners that serve the communities in their region. Even along state routes, there are a number of partners beyond TDOT that contribute to the construction and maintenance of various parts of the public right-of-way. This image illustrates the general roles and responsibilities for active transportation facilities along a state route within a city. At the most basic level, TDOT constructs the pedestrian and bicycle facilities when possible, and municipalities and counties are largely in charge of their upkeep. TDOT has made significant progress over the last 10 years in planning, design, construction, and maintenance of active transportation facilities along state routes. These images are examples of walking and biking projects in Tennessee that have been built during this time frame. They reflect TDOT's increased flexibility in facility and roadway designs, the department's willingness to construct more robust facilities such as safe signalized pedestrian crossings, as well as the department's routine incorporation of walking and bicycling improvements during other types of roadway projects, most notably when roads are repaved. The statewide active transportation plan will build on this momentum by identifying further improvements to TDOT's design manuals, processes, and policies, ultimately leading to a more efficient and effective delivery of quality walking and bicycling infrastructure. Early in the plan's development, a report was developed to establish a high-level understanding of the existing conditions and trends that contribute to the walking and biking environments, as well as the demand for those in Tennessee. This final section of the presentation highlights key findings from this analysis, as well as their importance when planning for walking and bicycling facilities. Understanding Tennessee's population can provide important clues about travel preferences and behavior. Characteristics such as population growth, age, density, and other factors have a strong influence on the demand for walking and bicycling. For some Tennesseans, walkways and bikeways are critical for daily life, especially if they don't have access to drive or take transit, even in the rural settings. Transportation systems that lack safe and convenient walking and biking facilities can create unsafe travel conditions for pedestrians and cyclists, as well as limit access to jobs, education, shopping, and many other goods and services. Based on U.S. Census estimates, TDOT's Region 3, which includes the metropolitan areas of Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro, grew by an estimated 152,000 residents between 2014 and 2018. Understanding where growth has been occurring and is likely to occur is an important consideration when planning for pedestrian and bicycling infrastructure. As the map shows, the highest densities in Region 3 are found in Nashville and its surrounding suburbs, particularly along the major routes that lead to the city center. Clarksville, home to the Fort Campbell Army Base, also has noticeably high density compared to the surrounding communities. When planning future transportation improvements, it's also important to identify groups, such as people making a lower income, who may not have access to the same resources as the rest of the population and rely on biking and walking more. Younger and older residents, as well as those living with a disability, might walk or bicycle more if they're unable to drive. Unlike the population map, higher concentrations of traditionally underserved populations exist in urban areas, rural areas, and small towns. Compared with other regions in the state, Region 3 has the lowest population at a vulnerable age, the lowest amount of households below the poverty line, and the lowest amount of households with a disability. The average median household income for Region 3 is approximately $62,000, which is 23% greater than the statewide average. Now, let's talk about the transportation system. How roadways are designed has an impact on safety and comfort of bicyclists and pedestrians. This includes characteristics such as the number of travel lanes, how wide the lanes are, and how much and how fast traffic is traveling, as well as if a paved roadway shoulder is present. Region 3 contains approximately 3,700 miles of state highway. Roadways with 4 or 5 lanes provide connections into and out of the major cities in the region. Vehicle speed is a major determinant of pedestrian and bicyclist safety along roadways. Pedestrians struck by a car traveling at the speed of 20 miles per hour have a 90% likelihood of surviving the crash, while those struck at 30 miles per hour have a 50% chance of survival. For those struck by a car traveling 40 miles per hour, the likelihood of survival is only 10%. State routes typically have posted speed limits of 40 miles per hour or greater. This map illustrates the average amount of traffic each state route carries over the course of a day. As expected, those in or near the metropolitan areas tend to carry more, with the heaviest volumes found in Clarksville and the Nashville region. Like vehicle speed, traffic volumes have a strong influence on pedestrian and bicyclist safety. This map illustrates state and national parks, as well as bicycle routes. The River and Heartland route use a combination of state routes and local roadways to connect communities. U.S. Bike Route 23 runs south from Kentucky all the way through the state, crossing both Nashville and Franklin. The dashed purple routes are proposed as regional bicycle route connections. Finally, let's touch on how well the roadway system is performing from a safety perspective. The crash history between vehicles and pedestrians, as well as bicyclists, is crucial for identifying safety improvement opportunities. In the past 5 years, from January 2015 through December 2019, there were just over 1 million vehicular crashes in Tennessee. 6,648 involved a pedestrian and 2,098 involved a bicyclist. While the percentage of fatal vehicular crashes is 0.4%, the percentage of fatal crashes with a pedestrian or bicyclist was 7%. Of the roughly 8,700 pedestrian and bicycle crashes statewide, 39% of pedestrian crashes and 36% of the bicyclist crashes occurred in Region 3. Between 2015 and 2019, there were 192 pedestrian fatalities in the region, with 553 people being seriously injured, while 9 bicyclists died and 87 were seriously injured. The map specifically illustrates severe crashes that occurred on state-managed roadways. This completes the presentation. Thank you very much for taking the time to participate in the statewide active transportation plan. Please go to our survey and tell us more about how TDOT can improve biking, walking, scooter, and wheelchair access for you.